back and pretty the pose for the first race. Fillies and Mares, maiden claiming pace of 1 mile, a purse of $2,000. Win place show exacted trifecta, first half of the early daily double. A field of 10, no changes. The one is VC on Time, owned by Doug Meyer of Columbus, Ohio, trained by Jim Arledge with Danny Noble. Number 2 is PERFECT-DAIQUIRI, owned by Sheree Myers and Diane Smith, both of the Buckeye State, trained by Sheree Myers, Sam Chip Noble III. Number 3 is RACHELLE WINDACRE, owned by Tommy Cecil Clemmons of Waverly, Ohio, trained by Cecil Clemmons. Jack Daly is up. The 4 is TAYLORLANE Viper, owned by Barker of Chillicothe, Ohio, and Reinhardt of Frankfort, Ohio, trained by Ron Barker with Dave Hawk. Number 5 is Halo's Mirage, owned by Dan Russo of Westerville, Ohio, trained by Brian Brown. Brett Miller is up. The 6 is Magic Star, owned, trained, and driven by Donald Robinson of Cincinnati, Ohio. Number 7 is A New Moon, owned by Lowell Prickett of Wilmington, Ohio, trained by Tom Prickett. Kyle Later is up. The 8 is JC's Miracle, owned by John Smith of Bell Fountain, Ohio, trained by Mike Metters. Jamie Dunlap. From the outside of the 9 is Praying for Daylight, owned by Timothy Lane of Marysville, Ohio, trained by Jim Arledge Jr., Jeff Fout, and scoring from off the second tier is Scott Piney's Bud Light Long Shot of the Night. The 10, Fast Going Alexis, owned by Larry Six and Brett Swartz. They're both of Ohio, trained by Larry Six. Justin Hall is in her sulky. That's the field for the first race. Pacers are all moving in behind the gate for the early double, a field of 10. Field in motion. They're all fan pacing and firing away from the middle of the track. There goes TAYLORLANE Viper. Right alongside is A New Moon. Now strikes the front end tier. Coming away, racing in third. That is VC on Time. Caught to the outside in fourth is Magic Star. Rail right here in fifth. That is Fast Going Alexis. Sixth, that is PERFECT-DAIQUIRI. Seventh is RACHELLE WINDACRE. Eighth on the inside is Halo's Mirage. Ninth is JC's Miracle. And 10th, and trailing the field, that is Praying for Daylight. And Fout can see them all. As they race around the first turn of the opening quarter, the initial quarter was in 28 and 1 fab. Passing the stands for the first time and heading on down to the half and is A New Moon, and Kyle Wader has set this one down on the front end tier, leading it by a length and a quarter. To the inside, TAYLORLANE Viper is yielded for a garden spot in 2, and now first over the outside, racing in third. Here comes VC on Time, and VC on Time is attacking the leader on the outside in 2 as they step around the clubhouse, turning on over to the half. VC on Time is now clearing to the front end tier, yielding for a garden spot. Racing in 2 is A New Moon, leaving first over on the outside in third. PERFECT-DAIQUIRI, they're halfway home in 58 and 3 fabs. A second panel with 30 and 2. Off the turn, and Fillies and Mares will start their long journey down the backside, and VC on Time leads it by a length and a quarter. PERFECT-DAIQUIRI is grinding it out first over on the outside at the leader's wheel disc in 2. Is A New Moon is a ground-saving journey in third. Locked in at the rail in fourth. That is TAYLORLANE Viper. Second over the outside in 5. That is RACHELLE WINDACRE. Third over on the outside in 6th is Fast Going Alexis. 7th at the rail, Halo's Mirage, as they approach three quarters in 1:27 and 4 fabs. They'll pace the final turn and head for home, and Dan Noble has knocked out the earplugs on VC on Time and begins to open up by a length and a half. To the inside is A New Moon. Will take a shot at her from the pocket as they turn to the top of Heartbreak Lane. Less than an eighth of a mile to go, and down the stretch they come. VC on Time with the lead here is A New Moon, and now to the super stretch. Here comes TAYLORLANE Viper, but as they roll within the final 16th, the first half of the double belongs to VC on Time. VC on Time in front. Finishing second was the 4 TAYLORLANE Viper. Is close for third. May have been the 9 Praying for Daylight. The time of the mile 1:57 4 fifths. VC on Time and Dan Noble in a new lifetime mark. By Chrissy Fout, as she'll do throughout the evening. Here's the 1 VC on Time, a 4-year-old bay mare by Village Connection out of a keeping time. She by Race Time is owned by Doug Meyer of Columbus, Ohio, trained by Jim Arledge. Nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Dan Noble. Number 1, VC on Time, home at a new lifetime mark, 1:57 4 fifths. VC on Time and Dan Noble. These are conditioned maiden trotters. A trot of 1 mile, a purse of $2,200, a field of 10, no changes. Win place show exacted trifecta wagering. The 1 is Tropical Paradise, owned by Harry and Iris Horowitz of Brooklyn, New York, trained by Tim Rucker. Debbie Rucker is up. The 2 is Ms. 2000, owned by Joe Criswell of Marion, Ohio, trained by Delvin Criswell. Kyle Wader is at the lines. Number 3 is Contagious, owned by the Bullyard Farm of Greenville, Ohio, trained and driven by Jeff Bullyard. Number 4 is Real Estate Tax, owned, trained, and driven by Scott Ferguson of Troy, Ohio. The 5 is Cherry Tree Luke, owned by Alan Kirschbaum of Burbank, California, trained and driven by Joe Adamsky. Number 6 is Homer Iliad, owned by Mary Jo Rainey Bross of Portsmouth, Ohio, trained and driven by Sandy Beatty. Number 7 is Bud Ross, owned by Ross Bateman of Athens, Ohio, trained and driven by Charlie Schoonover. Number 8 is Max Caper K, owned by Robert Key of Leechburg, Pennsylvania, trained by Jim Arledge Jr. Dave Hawk is up. From the outside of the 9 is Genesis Alexander, owned by Brian Stevens of Lebanon, Ohio, trained and driven by Jack Daly. And scoring from off the second tier is number 10, Raging Impulse, owned by John Berry of Cable, Ohio, and Kenneth Roebuck of Urbana, Ohio, trained by Don Knight. Jim Shelton is in her sulky. That's the field for the second race. Condition trot starter. Field in motion. Break the 9, Genesis Alexander before the start. Break the 5, Cherry Tree Luke before the start as well. They're off and trotting. Break the 2, Ms. 2000, and firing out for the lead. There goes Homer Iliad. Up on the outside, right alongside in 2, that is Bud Ross. Coming away, racing in 3rd, that is Tropical Paradise. Away in 4th, that is Contagious. Trotting up on the outside in 5th, that is Max Caper K. Away in 6th, that is Raging Impulse. 7th on the inside, that is Real Estate Tax. 8th on the inside, that is Cherry Tree Luke. And the 2 trailers after the early miscues, that is Genesis Alexander and Ms. 2000, and Kyle later can see them all. As they truck by the opening quarter, the initial quarter was in 29 2/5, and they'll pass by the stands for the first time and head on down to the half. And Bud Ross now crosses on over to take the lead here. Homer Iliad is right there in the garden spot, racing in 2 as they roll under the wire with 5/8 of a mile remaining. And up on the outside, Homer Iliad is not content with a 2-hole, wants the front end here. Bud Ross down along the inside with the lead. Homer Iliad is parked out to the outside in 2, a gap of 3 lengths, racing in 3rd, that is Tropical Paradise. Another gap of 3, racing in 4th is Contagious. 5th on the inside is Max Caper K. They were halfway home in 58 4/5. Off the turn, and they'll start their long journey down the backside and on the top of the field. Homer Iliad leads it here by a widening 4.5, 5 lengths. Bud Ross is trying to go with him in 2nd, a gap of 2.5, 3. Racing in 3rd, that is Tropical Paradise. To the outside in 4th, Max Caper K. Along the rail in 5, that is Contagious. A tip to the outside in 6th is Raging Impulse. 7th on the inside, Real Estate Tax. Then we're back to the 3 breakers, which are Cherry Tree Luke, Genesis Alexander, and 10th and trailing the field, Ms. 2000. They were at 3/4 in 129 flat. They'll trot the final turn and head for home, and on top, Homer Iliad with the lead here by 6 lengths. To the inside, Bud Ross is closest, trotting in 2. Off the turn to the top of the stretch, less than 1/8 of a mile to go, and down the stretch they come. On top, Homer Iliad, the 4-year-old bay horse by Umbro Iliad, is on cruise control here. Homer Iliad's going to get his first win of the last 2 years. Homer Iliad is going to report home in a new lifetime mark. Homer Iliad in 2 minutes flat. Finishing 2nd was the 7 Bud Ross. 3rd was the 1 Tropical Paradise. Homer Iliad in a new lifetime mark, 2 minutes flat. Circle, the unofficial winner of the second race, number 6, Homer Iliad, a 4-year-old bay horse by Umbro Iliad out of an exotic Ms. She by Krista's Crown, owned by Mary Jo Rainey Bross of Portsmouth, Ohio, nicely trained and driven by Sandy Beatty. Reporting home in a new lifetime mark, first win over the last 2 years for the 6, Homer Iliad, 2 minutes flat. 6-7-1-3 is now official. 6-7-1-3 is now official. 6-7 exacta 124.80. 6-7-1 try $1,702.40. Earliest double 1-6. Early double 1-6 29.40. The stars of the future, the sport of harness racing. 8 2-year-old Colson Geldings swing to the back stretch, getting set for a start. Field in motion. They're all fan pacing and firing away from the outside. There goes the 6 Firm Woody right alongside. That is the Rocky Express. Driving up from the way outside is 10 Carat Dragon. Coming away racing in 4th, that is Annie's Trick. Away racing in 5 is West Teen. 6th is He's a Doozy. 7th along the rail, that is Winter Town. And 8th and trailing the field, that is Caramel Dumpling. As they race around the first turn and over to the opening quarter in the Rocky Express. And Brett Miller has set this 2-year-old bay colt by Park Place down on the front interior through an initial quarter of 27 4/5. Passing the stands for the first time and heading on down to the half. The Rocky Express leads it here by length and a half. To the inside, Firm Woody is tracking him in the garden spot, racing in 2. 10 Carat Dragon is racing along in 3rd, a gap at 2.5 in 4th. That is Annie's Trick. 5th, that is West Teen. First over on the outside, Flushing Cover in 6th. Now is He's a Doozy. 3rd over on the outside in 7th, Winter Town. And 8th in trailing the field, Caramel Dumpling. As they step around the clubhouse, turn it on over to the half. The Rocky Express on the front interior took them to the half, halfway home in 59 1/5. On top, the Rocky Express with the lead here. Off the turn and setting sail down the backside. On top, the Rocky Express leads it here by a length and a quarter. First over on the outside, racing in 2, that is West Teen. Along the rail, racing in 3rd, that is Firm Woody. 2nd over the outside, racing in 4th, He's a Doozy. Buried at the rail in 5 is 10 Carat Dragon. 3rd over on the outside in 6th is Winter Town. 7th along the rail, Annie's Trick. And 8th in trailing the field, but a swing to the outside, Caramel Dumpling. As they approach 3 quarters in 1, 28 1. Backside, 29 seconds flat of the Rocky Express. Responds quickly to the whip of Brett Miller here and opens up by 2.5. To the inside, Firm Woody is trying to come to him in 2nd. 10 Carat Dragon has found clearance and swings to the outside in 3rd. Less than an 1/8 of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come. The Rocky Express with the lead here. To the inside, Firm Woody. On the outside, 10 Carat Dragon is coming on late. But as they roll within the final 16th, the Rocky Express knocks him out here. The Rocky Express in front. 10 Carat Dragon to go 2nd. 3rd was the one, Winter Town. Down to the mile, an impressive 156 4/5. The Rocky Express in a first career victory. Trackside of the winner's circle, the official winner of the 3rd race, timed in 156 4. Pretty impressive for a debut. For a freshman 2-year-old bay colt by Park Place out of a Rojet Hanover, she by Matt Scooter, the Rocky Express. Trained by John Ackley, nicely handled here this evening by wedding driver Brett Miller. The Rocky Express timed in 156 4/5. First career start, first career victory. Horses are on the track and pretty the pose for the 4th race. Condition trotters, the 4th leg of event number 12, a trot of 1 mile, a purse of $3,500. A field of 7, no changes. Win, place, show, exacta, trifecta, early, pick 3. Number 1 is Flannery Hall, owned by the Roll Stable of Dundee, Ohio, trained by Jenny Collins. Dave Hawk is up. The 2 is Clayton's Castaway, owned by Donald Boyard of Greenville, Ohio, trained and driven by Jeff Boyard. Number 3 is Stargate Ambrosio, owned by Thomas Hicks of Pompano Beach, Florida, trained by Chris Beaver. Jamie Dunlap is up. The 4 is I'm Maxed Out, owned by Fred Freppel of Napoleon, Ohio, trained by Todd Christie, Jeff Fout. The 5 is Over the Wire, owned by Dean Davis of Worcester, Ohio, and Jackie Bradford of Fort Myers, Florida, trained and driven by Kurt Sugg. Number 6 is Mario's Gotti, owned by Donald Foltz II of Paulding, Ohio, trained by Donald Foltz II, Sam Chipnoble III. And for the outside of the 7 is Red and White All Over, owned by Catherine Bitzel of Navarre, Ohio, trained by David Fuse with Brett Miller in the sulky field. In motion, break the 2, Clayton's Castaway before the start. They're all fan trotting and firing away for the lead. There goes I'm Maxed Out. Right alongside is Over the Wire. Coming away, trotting in 3rd, that is Flannery Hall. Away in 4th, that is Stargate Ambrosio. 5th on the inside is Mario's Gotti. 6th is Red and White All Over, and 7th in trailing the field. After the early miscue is Clayton's Castaway. As they trot around the first turn and over to the opening quarter and Over the Wire, and Kurt Sugg on top here by 3. To the inside, I'm Maxed Out is next, trotting in 2, and off stride went up the 1. Flannery Hall out of the 3 hole as they trot by the opening quarter in 28 4/5. Passing the stands for the first time and marching on down to the half and on top over the wire, leads it here by a length and a half. Or to the inside, I'm Maxed Out is in the garden spot, trotting into a gap of 2. Racing in third is Stargate Ambrosio. Racing in fourth is Mario's Gotti. Fifth, that is Red and White all over. Sixth on the inside is Flannery Hall, who's back down, trotting in, caught the field. And seventh and trailing the field on another break here is Clayton's Castaway as they trot around the clubhouse turn. On over to the half they go and over the wire with the lead here, reporting to the half in just a minute. Off the turn and driving down the backside. On top, over the wire, leads it here, leads it by a length and a half. To the inside, trotting in second, I'm Maxed Out is right there, trotting in 2. First to flush on the outside, trotting in third. Here comes Stargate Ambrosio, and Dunlap has sent this one underway. Fourth on the inside, Mario's Gotti, a gap of 4 lengths, trotting in fifth. That is Red and White all over. Sixth is Flannery Hall, and seventh and trailing the field, Clayton's Castaway, as they make their way towards the 3/4 mile mark of the race. And over the wire reports the 3/4 in 1:29 4. Backside 29 4/5. On top, over the wire, leads it here by a widening 2.5, 3 lengths. I'm Maxed Out is trying to go with him in second. Stargate Ambrosio is racing in third. Fourth is Mario's Gotti. Off the turn to the top of Power Alley. Less than an eighth of a mile to go and driving through the stretch. Over the wire, the 3-year-old Bay Colt by Call Toll Free out of an Eggs Over Easy. She by Overcomer is on cruise control here, is trotting on and trotting strong. Over the wire in front. Finishing second was the 3, Stargate Ambrosio. Third was the 4, I'm Maxed Out. The time of the mile, 1:59 flat. Over the wire, equaling his lifetime best. Gold, the unofficial winner of the 4th race. Number 5, Over the Wire. A 3-year-old Bay Colt by Colt Toll Free out of an Eggs Over Easy. She by Overcomer. Zoned by Dean Davis of Worcester, Ohio, and Jackie Bradford of Fort Myers, Florida. Nicely trained and driven, gate to wire by Kurt Sugg. Posting the second win in 2003, home in a lifetime equaling best, 1:59 flat. 5-3-4-1 is now official. 5-3 exacted, $26 even. 5-3-4 try returns $73 even. Presenting the field, the 1 is Stolen Property, owned and trained by John Ackley of Washington Courthouse, Ohio. Kyle Later is out. The 2 is Beacon Hill Guy, owned by Lovett, and Stillwagon. They're of Ohio and Michigan, trained by Mike Metters, Jamie Dunlap. Number 3 is Tommy D, owned by Dean Davis of Worcester, Ohio, trained and driven by Kurt Sugg. The 4 is Up Front Wildman, owned by Siad Mullinex of Amherst, Ohio, trained by Kelly O'Donnell, Randy Tharps. Next is the 5, Patricia's Love, owned by Amabel Patel, Springfield, Ohio, trained by Scott Mogan, Sam Chipnoble III. Number 6 is Sham Best, owned by Charles Zune of Danville, Ohio, trained by Doug Ryan, Brett Miller. Number 7 is Cam Coder, owned by Tony Coder of Bellefontaine, Ohio, trained by Doug Palmer, Herbie Brown. And for the outside of the 8 is March Time, owned by Annette Smith of Ashland, Ohio, trained by Ernest Smith, Bruce Sturgeon. In the 2-year-old Colts and Geldings. Pacers are all moving in behind the gate. A field of 8 swings to the back stretch, getting set for a start. In the hands of the starter, field in motion. They're all fan pacing and firing away from the inside. There goes Tommy D. Right alongside that is Up Front Wildman. Driving up from the outside, there is March Time. Coming away in fourth, that is Stolen Property. Away in 5 is Beacon Hill Guy. Caught to the outside in 6th is Sham Best. 7th along the rail, that is Patricia's Love. At 8th and trailing the field, that is Cam Coder. And Herbie Brown can see them all. As they hustle around the first turn and over to the opening quarter, and the rain begins to fall here. On top of the field, that is Up Front Wildman, leading them through an initial quarter of 28 4/5. Passing the stands for the first time and heading on down to the half. On top, Up Front Wildman out of the Kelly O'Donnell stable. Randy Tharps is up, leads it here by a length and a half. Now rushing up on the outside, here comes Stolen Property, rolling out of the wire with 5/8 of a mile remaining, and Stolen Property is now to the front end here. Up Front Wildman will yield for a garden spot in 2. Tommy D is racing along in 3rd, shuffled back and forth. That is March Time. 5th is Beacon Hill Guy. 6th is Patricia's Love. 7th, that is Cam Coder, and 8th 8th and trailing the field as they make their way by the half in 58 3/5. Trailing the field, Shambast off the turn and driving down the backside of a rainstorm here. On top of the field, Stolen Property leads it by a widening length and 3/4. There to the inside, up front, Wildman is pacing along in 2. Tommy D is right there in 3rd. First over on the outside in 4th, swung up 3 wide. That is Patricia's Love. Ground Saving Journey in 5th. That is Beacon Hill Guy. To the outside in 6th is Cam Coder, and backing through the field badly is March Time. 3/4 and 128 3/5. Backside, 30 seconds flat. On to the front end we go with Stolen Property, your 3 to 5 punter's choice. With the lead here, Tommy D is now racing up on the outside in 2. Off the turn to the top of Heartbreak Lane. Less than an 1/8 of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come. Stolen Property is sprinting away here as they roll within the final 16th. Stolen Property in his debut is going to romp by 2.5. Finishing second was the 3, Tommy D. Third of the mile was the 4, up front, Wildman. The time of the mile, 1:57 3/5. Stolen Property in a downpour. Now treks out of the winner's circle in this downpour. The official winner of the 5th race in a freshman debut. Home winner in 1:57 3. Number 1, Stolen Property. A 2-year-old bay colt by Noble and Sam out of a Danora Hills. She by Sydney Hill. Is owned and trained by John Ackley of Washington Courthouse, Ohio. Nicely driven here this evening by winning driver Kyle Ader. Number 1, Stolen Property, and Kyle Ader, freshman debut, home winner in 1:57 3/5. 1-3 exact returns $15.80. 1-3-4 try returns $45 even. Seems like the rain continues to get a little harder and harder as the downpour continues at Scioto Downs. 6th race, the 4th leg of event number 12, 2nd division, condition trotters. Purse of $3,500, a trot of 1 mile, exacted trifecta wagering, a field of 7, no changes. Number 1 is Ramblin' Wiley, owned by Robert Kaufman of New Albany, Ohio, trained and driven by the Big T, Terry Tim Holton. Budweiser, best bet of the night, the 1, Ramblin' Wiley. Number 2, Rose Run Exotic, owned by Sanders of Grove City, Ohio, and Evelyn Sr. of Westerville, Ohio, trained by Mike Metters, Jamie Dunlap. Number 3 is Chaplin's Rocket Man, owned by Chester Corbett of Columbus, Ohio, trained and driven by Justin Hall. Number 4 is Hello Papa, owned by Allman of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and Collins, trained and driven by Dean Collins. Number 5 is Malomar Man, owned by Bartley and Bartley Jr., both of the Buckeye State, trained by Ron Stack, Brett Miller. Number 6 is Garcia Parra, owned by Marty Lavelle of Hilliard, Ohio, trained by Mr. Todd Christie, Jeff Fout is up. From the outside of the 7 is Dance Till Dawn, owned by Bill Kale of Eaton, Ohio, trained by Robert Scott. Dave Hawk is in her sulky. That's the field for the 6th race, 4th leg of event number 12. Back stretch for the 4th leg of event number 12. They're in the hands of the starter. This field is in motion. They're all fan trotting and firing away, middle of the track. There goes the 5, Malomar Man, who's headed for command. Dropping in, racing in 2, that is Dance Till Dawn. Away in 3rd, that is Ramblin' Wiley. 4th, that is Rose Run Exotic. Away in 5 is Chaplin's Rocket Man. 6th is Hello Papa. And 7th, in trailing the field, that is Garcia Parra, and Fout can see them all in the early stages. As they trot around the first turn and over to the opening quarter. On top of the field, that is Malomar Man, leading the way here for Brett Miller by a length and a quarter. Along the inside, trotting in 2nd, that is Dance Till Dawn. Here comes Ramblin' Wiley up on the outside for the Big T. Opening quarter in 29 1/5. Passing the stands for the first time and heading on down to the half. Malomar Man with the lead, being joined by Ramblin' Wiley. Ramblin' Wiley crosses right on over, rolling into the wire with 5/8 of a mile remaining. Ramblin' Wiley and Terry Holton to the front end. Along the inside, Malomar Man is trotting in 2nd. Trotting 3rd, that is Dance Till Dawn. Shuffle back at the inside in 4th is Rose Run Exotic. First over on the outside in 5 is Chaplin's Rocket Man. To the outside in 6, Garcia Parra. And 7th in trailing the field, Hello Papa. They reported the half in 59 3/5. Off the turn and driving down the backside with Ramblin' Wiley on the front end here. About to be joined on the outside, trotting in 2, that is Chaplin's Rocket Man, who's at the leader's wheel disc in 2nd. Along the rail, trotting in 3rd, that is Malomar Man. 2nd over the outside, perfectly positioned here. That is Garcia Parra in 4th. 5th on the inside and buried there is Dance Till Dawn. 3rd over on the outside in 6th is Hello Papa. And 7th in trailing the field, that is Rose Run Exotic. As they make make their way towards three quarters in 130 and 1/5. They'll trot the final turn and head for home, and Ramblin' Wiley is turned away. Chaplin's Rocket Man to the inside, who is trotting in second. First over the outside in third, that is Garcia Parra. Off the turn to the top of Heartbreak Lane. Less than an eighth of a mile to go, and down the stretch he comes. Ramblin' Wiley, your 1-9 punter's choice, is trotting on and trotting strong once again. Ramblin' Wiley's going to do it 3 times in a row. Ramblin' Wiley, the big T, Terry Tim Holton. Ramblin' Wiley in front. Second was the 3, Chaplin's Rocket Man. Third was the 4, Hello Papa. Time of the mile, 2 minutes, 1/5. Ramblin' Wiley. Trackside of the winner's circle, the official winner of the 6th race, the 4th leg of event number 12, timed in 2 minutes, 1/5. Here's the 1, Ramblin' Wiley, a 4-year-old bay horse by OK Norman out of a Princess Bride, she by Workaholic, is owned by Robert Kaufman of New Albany, Ohio, nicely trained and driven by the Pride of Newark, the Big T, Terry Tim Holton. That's 3 in a row for Ramblin' Wiley here at Scioto Downs. The 1 is Lighthouse Special, owned and trained by Paul Cruz of Miamisburg, Ohio. Jeff Fount is out. Number 2 is I Wanna Be Sedated, owned by the Tar Heels stable of Wilmington, Delaware, trained by Kelly O'Donnell, Randy Tharps. The 3 is Dream Forever, owned by Anderson, Cooper, and Mogan. They're all the Buckeyes state, trained by Scott Mogan, Sam Chip Noble III. Number 4 is Park Wire Amazing, owned by Howard and Doris Armstrong of Connorsville, Indiana, trained by Joe Essig. The driver is Jack Daly. Number 5 is Perfect Pandarosa, owned by Stamball of Wasion, Ohio, and Chattanooga, Monroeville, Pennsylvania, trained by Jim Arledge Jr., Dave Hawk. The 6 is Village Doctor, owned by Robert McCoy of Circleville, Ohio, trained by Tom Blankenship, Brett Miller. Number 7 is Meadowland Champ, owned by Hoover of Pataskala, Ohio, and Metters of Reynoldsburg, Ohio, trained by Mike Metters, Jamie Dunlap. And for the outside of the 8 is Dr. Rodney, owned by the Ellicott Shaker Motors Incorporated of Beechwood, Ohio, trained and driven by Rick Shout, Ian the Sulky. 7th race, 2-year-old Colton Gelding Pacers. They're all moving in behind the gate. A field of 8. A star in the making. Possibly somewhere in this group of 8. Swings to the back stretch. Field in motion. They're all fan pacing, and the first call goes to the 4, Park You're Amazing, who's going right out for the lead here. Lighthouse Special is driving in through to be second from off the rail. Dropping in, racing in third, that is Dream Forever. Coming away, racing in fourth, that is Perfect Pandarosa. Way in 5, that is I Wanna Be Sedated. 6th on the inside, Village Doctor. 7th is Meadowland Champ, and 8th then trailing the field, that is Dr. Rodney, and Rick Shout can see them all as they race around the first turn and over to the opening quarter, and Park You're Amazing on the front end here through the initial quarter of 29 and 1/5. Now being joined on the outside by Dream Forever and Chip Noble, who is looking to take over the lead here. Dream Forever to the front end. Park You're Amazing is on the garden spot, racing in 2. Now ranging up first over the outside uncovered. Here comes the Perfect Pandarosa up on the outside, and Perfect Pandarosa storming around the leader here as they pace around the clubhouse, turning on over to the half. Perfect Pandarosa to the front end. Dream Forever is right there in the garden spot, racing in 2. Park You're Amazing has been shuffled back in third as they reach the half. They're halfway home in 58 and 1/5. A second panel at 29 seconds flat. Off the turn and driving down the backside of these 2-year-old Colton Gelding Pacers, and leading the way, Perfect Pandarosa leads it by a length and 3/4. To the inside, Dream Forever is racing in second. Now ranging up first over the outside in third. That is Park You're Amazing. To the inside, racing in fourth. That is Lighthouse Special. To the inside in 5. That is I Wanna Be Sedated, in a big gap there of some maybe 12, 13 lengths. Racing in 6th, that is Village Doctor. 3/4 in 128 and 1/5. Backside, 30 seconds flat. They'll pace the final turn and head for home, and Perfect Pandarosa has opened up here by 5. To the inside, racing in second, Dream Forever off the turn to the top of Heartbreak Lane. Less than an eighth of a mile to go, and down the stretch they come, and Perfect Pandarosa is all over this field. The 2-year-old bay colt by the Pandarosa out of a Perfect Gesture mare, she by Beach Towel. Perfect Pandarosa scores here. Finishing second is Dream Forever. Third of the mile was the 2, I Wanna Be Sedated. The time of the mile, 1:57, 3/5. Perfect Pandarosa in a first career victory. The 7th race, timed in 1:57 3/5. Number 5, Perfect Pandarosa. A 2-year-old bay colt by the Pandarosa out of Perfect Juster. She by Beach Towel. Is owned by Stamball of Wasion, Ohio. Chatkin of Monroeville, Pennsylvania. Nicely trained by Jim Arledge Jr. Dave Hawk, the winning driver. Dave Hawk is now approaching the 5,000 win milestone. Now currently sits at 4,995 wins. With this win, with Perfect Pandarosa, first career victory, 1:57 3/5. Horses are on the track and parading the post in the downpour here at Scioto Downs. Condition trotters, a 1 mile, a purse of $3,500. Win place show exacted trifecta late pick 3, wagering a field of 10, no changes. The 1 is Michigan Dan, owned by Winchester Bay Acres Incorporated of Powell, Ohio, trained by Jim Daly. Dave Hawk is up. The 2 is Nicole's Top Joy, owned by Marvin Raber of Apple Creek, Ohio, trained by Leroy Hirschberger. Jeff fouled at the lines. Number 3 is Hurricane Hudson, fitting for right now. Owned by the Hudson Horse Company, Limited of Overland Park, Kansas, trained by Keith Dix. Kyle Waiters at the lines. The 4 is Benzilla, owned by C. Ed Mullinex of Amherst, Ohio, trained by Kelly O'Donnell, Randy Tharps. The 5 is Super Bandit, owned by Jerry Falk and Connie Armstrong of Westerville, Ohio, trained by Jerry Falk with Danny Noble. Number 6 is Sacra Blue, owned by Bartley and Bartley Jr., both of the Buckeye State, trained by Ron Steck, Brett Miller. Number 7 is TGTIF, owned and trained by Dean Fraker of Delaware, Ohio, Sam Chipnoble III. Number 8 is Sand Chick, owned by Bill Sanders of Stevenson, Alabama, trained by the Big T, Terry Tim Holton, David Myers at the lines. From the outside of the 9 is Spartan Hall, owned by Ned Hodkinson of Hilliard, Ohio, trained by Virgil Morgan Jr., Ned Hodkinson. And scoring from off the second tier, number 10, Carrier Rose, owned by Larry Cleland of Bainbridge, Ohio, trained and driven by Keith Haynes, Ian Hersulke. A field of 10 swings to the back stretch to kick off the late pick 3. As we continue in a downpour at Scioto Downs, field in motion. They're off and trotting, break the 8 Sand Chick, firing for the lead. There goes Michigan Dan. From the outside, there is Sacra Blue. In between horses driving up, that is Benzilla. Coming away, racing in 4th on the outside, TGTIF. Along the inside, racing in 5th, that is Nicole's Top Joy. As they trot around the first turn and over to the opening quarter, and Michigan Dan and Dave Hawk has jumped it off stride here. As they trot around the first turn and over to the opening quarter, and it's a little hard to see, but on top of the field, it looks like Benzilla leading them through an opening quarter of 29 2/5. And along the inside, trotting in 2nd, that is TGTIF. Along the inside, Carrier Rose trots in 3rd. 4th, that is Sacra Blue. 5th to the inside, that is Nicole's Top Joy. Wrangled down on the inside in 6th is Michigan Dan. 7th is Hurricane Hudson. 8th there on the inside, Super Bandit. 9th is Spartan Hall, and 10th and trailing the field, that is Sand Chick, as they step around the clubhouse, turning on over to the half. On top, Benzilla, your 4 to 5 punter's choice, and Randy Tharps leads it here by a length and a half. To the inside, TGTIF is racing in 2nd. They were halfway home in 101 flat. Off the turn and driving down the backside of the downpour and on top of the field. Leading the way, Benzilla leads it here by a length and 3/4. To the inside, TGTIF is doing his best to stick with him, trotting in 2. There's a gap of 3 lengths, now trotting up in 3rd. That is Nicole's Top Joy. To the outside in 4th, that is Hurricane Hudson, and that's a fitting name for these. The inside in 5, that is Carrier Rose. As they reach the 3/4 mile mark of the race, and Benzella's going to reach 3/4 on the board in 132 flat. Backside, 31 seconds flat, and Benzella with the lead here by a length and a quarter. Hurricane Hudson has drove up alongside of the leader's wheel disc in 2. Along the rail, trotting in 3rd, that is TGTIF. Off the turn to the top of the stretch. Less than an 1/8 of a mile to go, and driving through Power Alley. Benzilla responds quickly to the whip of Randy Tharps and opens up by 2.5, 3 lengths. The battle's on for 2nd and 3rd as they roll within the final 16th. Benzilla gate to wire. Finishing 2nd, TGTIF. 3rd was the 3, Hurricane Hudson. The time of the mile, 2:02 flat. Benzilla and Randy Tharps out of the Kelly O'Donnell stable. A 5-year-old bay gelding by Umbro ILIAD out of Charity. She by Bonefish. Is owned by C. Ed Mullinex of Amherst, Ohio. Trained by Kelly O'Donnell. Nicely driven here this evening. Gate to wire by Randy Tharps. First victory in 2003. Home winner in 2:02 flat. The 4, Benzilla and Randy Tharps. A field of 10 should be noted. The 6-horse Town Line CAM's class is racing on the Lay 6 medication. First time Lay 6. The one is Make Mine Black, owned by the Shout Stable of Pompano Beach, Florida, trained and driven by Rick Shout. Number 2 is Tufts Proud Mary, my Bud Light long shot of the night, is owned by Jay and Kim Charmante Sears of Deerfield Beach, Florida, trained by Kim Sears. Jay Sears is up. The 3 is 5250, owned by Boroff of Hawkinsville, Georgia, and Crown of St. Petersburg, Florida, trained by J. Doug Lowe with Brett Miller. The 4 is Lenson Sand Diamond, owned by Larry Pennington of Flat Gap, Kentucky, trained by Jeff Brewer. Jason Brewer is up. The 5 is Ombro Alto, owned by Harold Lee and Harold Botter of Delaware, Ohio, trained by Michael Conklin with Dan Noble. The 6 is Town Line CAM's class, owned by Craig Colston and Pamela Davis, both of the Buckeye State, trained by Brandon Piggott with Randy Tharps. The 7 is Eternal Freedom, owned by Donna McClure of Lebanon, Ohio, trained by Tom Horner Jr., Sam Chip Noble III. Post 8, the 8 is Mary's Magic, owned by Chuck Campbell of Blissfield, Michigan, trained by Lloyd Hawk. Dave Hawk is up. From the outside of the 9 is Duchess Pass Brown, owned by Walter Brown of Marengo, Ohio, trained by James Lupton with Kyle Later. And scoring from off the second tier is number 10, Star in the Rough. The lessee is also the trainer and driver, Jonathan Wingard of Wooster, Ohio, Ian Hersalke. 9th race, fillies and mares, conditioned, claiming pacers, are all moving in behind the gate. The Albert starting gate swings to the back stretch. Field in motion. They're all fan pacing and firing away from the inside. There goes the 3, 5250, right alongside, middle of the track. Ombro Alto now crosses over to take the lead here. Ombro Alto to the front end. 5250 comes away racing in second. Along the inside, trying to duck it in third. That is Lenson Sand Diamond, who's caught out there. Tufts Proud Mary protects the rail in fourth. Dropping in, racing in 5 is Mary's Magic. Along the inside in sixth is Duchess Pass Brown. Seventh, that is Eternal Freedom. As they race by the opening quarter, the initial quarter was in 28 seconds flat. Passing on by the stands for the first time and heading on down to the half. And on top, Ombro Alto, but on the outside, Lenson Sand Diamond. It looks like she'll be taking the long mile the outside in 2. Lenson Sand Diamond up the inside with the lead. Ombro Alto rolling under the wire with 5/8 of a mile remaining. Lenson Sand Diamond on the outside with the lead. Ombro Alto is next in 2. Along the inside, racing in third, watching over these dueling leaders. That is 5250. Fourth is Mary's Magic. Tip to the outside, racing in 5. That is Duchess Pass Brown. They were halfway home in 57 1/5. Following that cover, Duchess Pass Brown. That is Town Line CAM's class. To the outside, they're struggling a bit. That is Make Mine Black. On the inside, racing in 9th. That is Eternal Freedom, and 10th and trailing the field. That is Star in the Rough as they head down the backside. On top of the field, Ombro Alto has responded to every challenge thus far. Leads it by a widening 2. To the inside, racing in second, 5250 looks to be her next challenger in second. Along the outside, Lenson Sand Diamond is beginning to retreat in third, along with Duchess Pass Brown. On the inside and fourth is Town Line CAM class. They're at 3/4 in 1:27 1. Backside, 30 seconds flat. They'll pace to the top of the stretch with less than 1/8 of a mile to go. And down the stretch they come with the lead. Ombro Alto has got every call thus far. 5250 is trying to reel her in, but as they come to the wire, Ombro Alto is very impressive. Once again, Ombro Alto inside the final 16th is drawing clear by 7. Second was the 3, 5250. Third was the 9, Duchess Pass Brown. The time of the mile, 1:56 4/5. Ombro Alto over the sloppy going in a new lifetime mark. Very impressive. Trackside of the winner's circle, the official winner of the 9th race. In a very impressive mile here over the sloppy going 1:56 4 to establish a new lifetime mark for the 5, Ombro Alto. A 3-year-old bay filly by Jenna's Beach Trot Boy out of a BL Trot. She by Albatross is owned by Harold Lee and Harold Botter of Delaware, Ohio. Trained by Michael Conklin. Nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Danny Noble. That's 2 wins on this evening's card for Dan Noble, giving him a driving double. Ombro Alto, home a winner for the 4th time in 2003. New lifetime mark, 1:56 4/5. Ombro Alto. Number 1 is Keno Joe, owned and trained by Harry Alltop of Urbana, Ohio. Jack Daly is up. The 2 is Cole Tomar, owned by Long of Jeffersonville, Ohio, and Long of Washington Courthouse, Ohio, trained by Alvin Long, Jeremy Smith. The 3 is Anxious Charlie, owned by Brian Tatum of Mount Sterling, Ohio, trained by Karen Seifert, Dave Hawk. The 4 is Freddie Spaghetti, owned by Glenn Preston Addy of Norwich, Ohio, trained by D.J. Addy with Brett Miller. The 5, Jock Osborne, is out sick. The 6 is Miami Jewel, owned by the Shout Stable, Pompano Beach, Florida, trained and driven by Rick Shout. The 7 is Cowboy Herb, owned and trained by Jeffrey Mark Brewer of Moore, Ohio. Jason Brewer's at the lines. The 8 is Latta Jones, owned by Vernon Byers Jr., Mechanicsburg, Ohio, trained by Jimmy Byers with Randy Tharps. From the outside of the 9 is Brooklet's Bachelor, owned by Mark Sundstrom of Wellington, Ohio, who also does the training. Kyle Later is up and scoring from off the second tier. Number 10, Diamond Brigade, owned by Kevin Credit of Jamestown, Ohio, trained and driven by Jack Franklin in the sulky. Field in motion. They're all fan pacing and firing away from the inside. There goes Freddie Spaghetti right alongside. That is Miami Jewel, who's trying to clear to the front end now and does so. Miami Jewel to the front. Freddie Spaghetti yields for a garden spot in 2. Coming away from 3rd from off the rail, that is Keno Joe. Away in 4th, that is Latta Jones. Coming away racing in 5, that is Anxious Charlie. 6th on the inside, Diamond Brigade. 7th, that is the 2, Cole Tomar. 8th on the inside, that is Cowboy Herb. And 9th and trailing the field is Brooklet's Bachelor. They're at the opening quarter. The opening quarter came and went in 29 2/5 as they pass the stands for the first time and head on down to the half. And Miami Jewel and Rick Shout on the front end here, leading it by a length and a half. Freddie Spaghetti is right there in the garden spot, racing in 2. Keno Joe is unhurried in 3rd. First over the outside in 4th, that is Anxious Charlie. Buried at the rail in 5 is Latta Jones. Second over the outside in 6th, that is Diamond Brigade. A swing to the outside in 7th is Cowboy Herb. Then we come down to the 2 trailers, which are Cole Tomar and Brooklet's Bachelor. Stepping around the clubhouse turn, they're at the half in 1 minute flat. Off the turn and driving down the backside, setting sail towards 3/4 in the finale. On top, Miami Jewel and Rick Shout. Got every call thus far, leads it by a length and a quarter. First over the outside, racing in 2nd, that is Freddie Spaghetti, who's at the leader's wheel disc in 2. Along the inside, watching over these dueling leaders from 3rd, that is Freddie Spaghetti. Anxious Charlie is first over the outside in 2. Freddie Spaghetti at the rail in 3rd. Second over the outside in 4th. That is Diamond Brigade as they approach 3/4. 5th on the inside, Keno Joe. 3/4 in 1:29 1/5. They'll pace the final turn and head for home in Miami Jewel with the lead here. But Anxious Charlie is bounding down to the outside, racing in 2 and ready to swing 3 high with a stretch drive. That is Diamond Brigade. Off the turn and less than an eighth of a mile to go in the finale, and down the stretch they come. Anxious Charlie now clinging to the front end here. To the outside, Diamond Brigade is trying to come to him, but as they roll within the final 16th, Anxious Charlie in front. Latta Jones paced on late for 2nd. Miami Jewel was 3rd. 4th was the 10 Diamond Brigade. Time of the mile 1:59 1/5. Anxious Charlie. Dave Hawks got 4,996. Anxious Charlie recording a mile in 1:59 1. 11-year-old bay gelding by Anxious Robbie out of a Rockabye Bay, she by Rockabye Way, owned by Brian Tatum of Mount Sterling, Ohio, trained by Karen Seifert, nicely handled here this evening by winning driver Dave Hawk. Again, that's 4,996 for Dave Hawk, just 4 wins away from career milestone 5,000. It's official. 3-8 exact returns, 48.80. 3-8-6 try, 264 even. 3-8-6-10 super, $1,218. Late double, 5-3, returning 960. Pick 3, 3 of 3, $19 even.